Technology is a complex and volatile industry. That is why it's high time to step up and call bullshit on big tech firms that only spew information that benefits them. This is With Absolute Specificity, the program that's unafraid to shoot from the hip about all things tech and marketing. Get your dose of accurate information with a generous portion of humor right here. Get frank wisdom and plain-spoken facts straight from the source with host Jason A. Wood. You can count on him to bring the harsh yet practical truths to the surface. Get ready for another episode of With Absolute Specificity.
So, hey guys, what's going on today?
How's it going?
It's never a dull moment. It's always a busy day, but you take the good with the bad, Jason. You know that it's mostly good though.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And hey, by the way, thanks for taking some time out to chat with me today. What we want to talk about today is, you guys have such a depth of experience, and all three of us on this call, we all have the same goal for businesses that we either own or clients we're working with, but we come from very different angles. So I thought it would be just great with everything going on in this country right now, inflation and the economic downturn, and this big tech iOS update and all this kind of stuff, just to get your guys' perspective and tell us what you're seeing out there in the business world in terms of how you're helping your clients get around and your companies get around some of these challenges we're facing.
Yeah. So I'll take the first stab and Brandon can jump in. But, first of all, a couple of years ago, we had coronavirus had hit and all these people were at home. They were unemployed. I was one of them. I was usually on the road 200 plus days a year. I was at home. What was I doing? I was on my computer. I was on TV, watching television. Well, the guys that bought CNN a month before for a very low rate normally, all of a sudden had quadruple the amount of viewers, and they were getting unbelievable response. So the smartest marketers were doubling down during COVID, right? They're like, wow, wait a minute, customer acquisition costs are less because there's more viewers and I'm still paying the same rates. And there was eventually an adjustment there, but now let's fast forward. COVID, people are back to work. I'm back to traveling. I'm not watching as much TV and on the internet as much as I was. So, and then let's add to that, Facebook changed up. Well, Apple and Facebook, they get into their little battle. And so, who would have guessed that Facebook stock would drop by 60%? Okay. I don't know how many tens of billions, if not 100 plus billion that they lost in market value because they weren't able to deliver the same way. So this is now forced guys like us that focus on customer acquisition costs on a daily, forget daily, on an hourly basis, okay? We're running ads all day long, reading them on an hourly basis, because if they didn't work at 7 a.m. in the morning, it may not be working at 11 a.m. and by 2 p.m. we better be out. So the marketplace has required a quicker response and also a push to find new ways to get customers. Before TikTok was around, when TikTok first hit, we're like, well, just seems to be something for the kids, for 12 and 13-year-olds. But guess what? Some of the biggest marketers in the world, including ourselves, are utilizing TikTok in a big way. So anyway, it's, we know a lot of stories here, but the key thing now is focusing on scaling, because so many companies are there. They've got great businesses, but they need scale. And that's what we've been doing for 40 years, and creating new ways to get to that scale is what we're doing right now.
And to add to what Kevin said, he saw it back in the as seen on TV days and the transition and the handwriting on the wall where it's like, okay, I want to get out of this industry. I want to get into the digital side. Well, now we're almost in this new transition because you look at the iOS update. We're running ads, we're putting money into ads, and we're seeing the ability for targeting is not what it used to be. And this is why I love specificity so much, is because the ability to hyper focus and really target in based on the device and the location and the demographic and everything it's crazy because Facebook, like Kevin said, the stock's going down. Well, I see us, it's such a great opportunity. Not only are we helping our other companies scale through that kind of targeting, but it's doing so many other things. And so just from my perspective, Jason and Kevin, I'm a content guy. I've been creating TV shows, I've been creating video content, and it's all about consistency, creating that brand awareness. But you also need to go beyond that. How can you speak to the right kind of people? You could be throwing things out there and putting all this content, but if you're not hyper focused on who you're speaking to, it's never going to convert into an actual sale. And Jason, I love just from your side of things, talk about what we do in terms of how you do the hyper focus targeting with the clientele. And I'd love for you to give an example, because you did this on a call the other day with a mortgage business, and how hyper focused you can be in terms of speaking to the right people who are more likely to buy.
Yeah, and that's been our mantra for a long time here at Specificity. I mean, companies now, as the economy's downturn a little bit, the inflation is going to have an impact. Interest rates are coming up. We're all watching all of this go on. Companies now need more efficiency through their ad spend than they ever have. And that comes at a time where big tech and big social just lost their ability to do app tracking, which, eliminated hundreds of thousands of targeting selects out of their platform. So what does that mean to a company that wants to market a particular product, right? So one great example, Brandon, to your point, is this window company we do business with. When we signed these guys, they were, because of the iOS update, they were hitting, Pinellas County and Sarasota County, and they were just hitting the county. And I said, guys, 53% of people that live in the state of Florida don't own the property that they live in. That's 53% of your ad spend that is going to people that are never going to buy your. And it's not because you don't have the best product in the market. It's because they're never going to spend 50 grand on a piece of property they don't own. And it's little stuff like that. And this iOS update has been really harmful to a lot of companies. The worst part about it that we're seeing is that they're not sending out emails alerting marketers and business owners that, hey, this campaign you set up 10 months ago in Facebook, for example, those targeting selects aren't available anymore. So you need to come back into the platform and reset it. They're just simply removing them and letting those campaigns run. So companies are getting a hell of a lot less efficiency in their ad spend. And it's just not fair to these businesses that are just trying to get at their target audience. Because to your guys' point, if you can't deliver a product to somebody that actually cares about it, and actually has an inclination to buy it or want it, then you're just wasting money. It's just busy work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Makes total sense. I mean, I think, Jason, that the opportunity for what Specificity is bringing to the table is huge. We're seeing this every single day. I mean, for example, we just invested in a telemedicine platform, and this company's been around north of 8 years. It's a $50 million company. And wow. I mean, during COVID, their sales declined, but other companies in this space, and they sell weight loss, erectile dysfunction, hair growth, but it's all prescription products, right? So these aren't like things, you can buy at CVS also. No, I mean, if you get a prescription, you can, but this company, when we first got involved, we started bringing some creative things to the table, and we're running a customer acquisition cost that's probably 30% of the gross. Whereas we look at the industry experts, some of these guys are spending. I mean, one of them, a Pubco, without mentioning names, they're spending 54% of every dollar they bring for marketing. Now, pretty tough to make a profit if 54% of every dollar is, I mean, we want to have a profitable company, right? But we're able, through our, we brought some creative talent to the table. We brought some celebrities. We brought, we can mention Ric Flair, Carmen Electra. We're negotiating with some other big names. This is dropping the customer acquisition cost and giving us an ability to have a 30% CAC as opposed to 54%. So we're making a profit instead of breaking even. And you know, they're different philosophies. Yes, some companies want to create top line, and that's important also. But we're creating top line as well as paying attention to the bottom line at the same time.
Another thing to add to that, Kevin, is you look at lifetime value of a customer. So again, it goes back to specificity. We can be very hyper focused on who we're speaking to. And not only is it saving us money on our ad spend, but the lifetime value. And you look at how much money you spend, and in this case for New Image, this company, and being able to target and get that customer, it's a subscription based. And that lifetime value, they tell other people, it leads to more revenue, it leads to more opportunities. And so if you can get in early, like right now is the best time. I mean, the best time is yesterday, the next best time is today. If you can start marketing, if you can start spending, every dollar you spend today is going to save you $10 tomorrow. And if somebody is not spending the money on technologies like we have, or the ability to really hyper focus on that ad spend, they're losing out. And I look at it as we're not only, this part I love, Jason, and you can kind of highlight on, like, I know we talked with a business owner that we're working with now that's in the pool space. The fact that we can acquire customers now and that lifetime value, we're saving so much money today, but also the lifetime value is worth so much more.
Let me add one thing to that, Brandon. This is mind blowing because we're involved with a public company that is acquiring heating and air conditioning companies, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing roll ups, and so when they look at a company to acquire the business, they've been around 30 years. It does $1 million a year. The guy that owns it is 72 years old. His son doesn't want to be in the heating and air conditioning business, so he's going to sell the business, right? Well, we come in and we look, and they're an old school company. They bill hourly, and they're basically getting paid for the time that their guys are able to work, right? We got a whole new model for them, and this is why we're making all these acquisitions. When we put these people on subscription plans, and now that's the goal. When we come in, is customer acquisition, subscription, and monthly. The value of the company has it to a acquisition target way down the road is double when you have people on subscription versus people that are just calling on a day in, day out basis. So this is our focus, is we're going to buy a company for $1 million, and within probably 12 months, that asset's going to be worth $5 to $8 million to us because we've increased the sales, we've increased the subscription, converted people over, we've got revenue coming in while we sleep. And that is why the acquisition guys are saying, get me subscribers as opposed to just customers.
Now, when you guys talk about cost per acquisition, and that's obviously something we track for our clients as well, I think it's the most important metric in marketing, frankly. When you guys talk about that, and you talk about the life value of a customer or a client, do you guys, when you're calculating that 30%, Kevin, that you just mentioned with the ED company, are you calculating the lifetime value to arrive at that number, or are you just leveraging that initial transaction to arrive at that number?
Different companies account in different ways.
Right.
In this particular case, we're actually only counting the initial revenues that we're getting because we haven't had enough time to review and analyze the subscription revenues and what the lifetime values are. So that particular company is very conservative, and they're very focused on cash flow. Like, let's go spend 10,000, but we want to see 25 to 30 coming back pretty quickly, within 30 days. They're not saying, oh, well, this is worth, another $800 down the road because we just got involved in this deal, and we're now converting them over to a heavier duty subscription plan also. So I think that when you do ultimately get your subscription revenues locked in, and you'll also, this is the other thing that's interesting, you might find that radio might deliver less subscribers than television, possibly, so you've got to weigh the different media sources to understand, because you can't just say, okay, so lifetime value is $1,000 a customer, and but radio might have a lifetime value of 600. Television may have a lifetime value of 1,300, and so we're still learning all of those things in this particular company right now. And then there's influencer. This is the other big thing. Also, is giving influencers an opportunity to generate revenues and take a percentage of those subscription dollars also. But if I answer your question, at the end of the day, you do want your CAC to allow for that subscription revenue, because it's going to happen. Historically, you've proven it. And now I do believe, like a HIMS, who is one of our competitors, they're spending 54% of their dollars on customer acquisition. That they're probably calculating the subscription revenue that they're generating at 54%, because it's 54% of their blended revenue streams right now, and they have all those subscription dollars included in there.
The more we talk about this, I think you look at the value of a business. I think the biggest mistake the entrepreneurs make, and me 10 years ago, I made the same mistake. I wasn't building the business with the end goal in mind of potentially being able to sell it or the long-term value of the customer. And in knowing that, and good thing I'm in marketing, I think every business out there should have some kind of partner that is a marketing partner, whether they're giving up equity and having them as a partner, because that value in that marketing is such a valuable lifetime value and exponential growth in terms of down the road. And the multiple will be higher, just like Kevin talked about the business where they're rolling up heating and air conditioning businesses and turning them into continuity products. And so you look at customers, if you can really target the right customers, you get the right customers in your database, well, you have that value there, but how can you sell them multiple products? Not just, so if you're selling them one product, how can you have an add-on product down the road? How can you have all these different things you introduce to that customer? And long story short, anybody that's watching this, you need to have the marketing team in place to be able to scale. There's so much lifetime value to that I don't think they realize.
Well, and to Kevin's point earlier, you brought up something that we deal with all the time. And in fact, right after this call, I'm in a meeting because we have a call with a client at 4:00. And that is the source of those customers. So you can bring 1 million people to your site, to your e-commerce site, and convert 5,000 of them. That's great. But if you can bring in 20,000 and convert 5,000, or bring in 50,000 and convert 5,000, not only is your marketing ad spend more efficient, but when you look at the type of customers you're bringing in with being more targeted, not only your conversion rate's exponentially better, but it's the right kind of customer. It's the customer that maybe isn't price shopping, isn't trying to commoditize your business on you, isn't doing. So those sources, they all bring in different types of people. And I think marketers miss that a lot.
100% agree.
Yeah, and that's a big impactor on cost per acquisition as well. It's not just that lifetime value of that customer, but also the type of customer that you're bringing in. To that company we spoke with last night, my guy that's in the pool space, he's not out here trying to sell competitively priced cheap pools. He's looking for the high-end pool buyer that wants the latest technology, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's a whole different animal. So you can go on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and just throw ads in his area, but you're going to get 1 million phone calls from people that are looking for the cheapest thing they can find. So how do you suppress that out of your audience, right? Because that business intelligence that comes out of marketing and that influence it has and impact it has on your salespeople's psyche to have to deal with the wrong customer call after call after call after call, versus when that phone rings and they know it's sourced through us, they're excited to take that call because they know it's a closing opportunity, right? And so that there's some impact, ancillary impact on businesses and sales teams and marketers in general, just by being a little bit smarter when you're tracking that put-through process.
Absolutely. I mean, it kind of gets back to what I was saying. Different media sources can have different close rates, different lifetime values, and the what we like to focus on are the media sources that have the best, that have the higher, because those are more inclined to be our customers, right? And so why beat your head against the wall getting a one-time customer that's going to order it just to get the deal that you offered, because we generally have some kind of a deal for the first time customer, and then you're not going to order again. You waste your time, you waste your money, you want to focus on what is best. And sometimes these things are automated and virtual, but other times there's salespeople that are making those calls. And if they keep calling people that are hanging up and not interested, it depletes the energy of the organization also. So getting the right implementation on the front end can mean lots of differences on many different levels.
Well, and here's the other thing too, that a lot of, I think, marketers miss, and I know we've talked about this, so I know you guys don't miss this, is that in order for the analytics to be impactful, they have to be targeted at a high likely conversion audience. Otherwise, the data you're getting back, right? We also heard this over our careers, junk in, junk out with data. So if you're just shotgun marketing, say on social media, and you're looking at your CTRs and you're looking at your CPAs and you're looking at all this stuff, you think you might have missed, or this ad isn't performing, and really it's just being delivered to the wrong people. And now you're making marketing decisions that are going to impact your business for years.
There's one part here that I think people underestimate. I think if you're looking at your budget, where you're spending money, you should spend a lot of the money towards marketing. Because I look at it this way: if you can target to the right people in certain industries, let's say a law firm or even investment company or a company that has a high ticket item. If I spend $100,000 on marketing, whatever that kind of marketing is, but if I can acquire out of 100,000, 2 customers that are each worth 150,000, that's obviously a 3x return. But I think a lot of times people that don't understand marketing, they see this big amount and think, whoa, how am I going to get that return? It's a numbers game. And especially a numbers game like on Facebook anymore, it's a different game. It's almost like you're thrown in the dark. But with specificity, you have hyper-focused marketing where that I am speaking to the right people. And I love the fact if you can have one person that pays it all off and then that's return, that's a win. And so that's if people really need to understand that they got to be really focused on their marketing. Otherwise, they're just throwing dollars out the window.
Well, and this time of year for digital, I mean, so many digital marketing companies just want to push CPMs, right? Cost per thousand impressions. We had a call yesterday afternoon with a client that was talking about maybe cutting their ad budget back going into the retail season, and they have a retail product. And I said, guys, I can either waste that money for you because that's what it'll do, or you need to double your budget, because guess what? 60 to 70% of all digital ad spend in the retail space is going to be deployed starting October 15th to December 15th. That's a lot of impressions, and you guys will see it on your social. I mean, I'm sure you already see it on your social media channels. So you got to do more to stand out. You got to do more to drive that conversion, which means, for companies that don't have, 500,000 a month just to toss at marketing, you got to be hyper targeted to make sure those impressions are going into an audience that will actually convert with all that clutter, with all that digital ad clutter. And that's the time of year we're in right now. So, we told them, you guys, we can't help you with the lower budget. We will fail for you. And so will every other digital marketing company in the country. The others might be willing to take your money. I'm going to shoot you straight and tell you to put it back in your pocket if you're going to cut your budget, because nobody can help you. It's just too much money going into digital marketing in this 60-day window. And I don't think enough people pay attention to that kind of thing.
100%.
No, I agree. And that's why, again, Jason, I think what you put together is awesome, and why we got excited, to be part of Specificity. And we just, we think that it's, we'll get through this fourth quarter. And we're going to do some shining during this when others are having more difficulties. But, first quarter is also huge. I mean, obviously fourth quarter, you compete against Christmas stuff here and there. We also just finished competing against all the elections. It's like we've been through all the crap. Okay. But and first quarter for me, I've always loved it. in the world of television, they call it HUT levels, H-U-T, households using television. And there's probably something similar for the internet, but being an old TV guy, the HUT levels increase in the first quarter because on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, it's cold as hell all over the country. They're not out playing golf. They're not out playing tennis. They're at home on their internet or watching television. So, so now we take the extreme assistance that we at Specificity can give to folks and add this to increase levels of viewership. And we're going to be able to crush it for certain kinds of marketers that these times of the year are good for.
Well, and guys, listen, I want to thank you both for your time today. I love these informal, batted around kind of conversations. I think there's a lot of good learning that comes out of these kinds of conversations. So thank you guys so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Let's do it again soon.
Hey,
let's do it.
You name it, we'll be there. All right.
Thanks, Jason.
Gentlemen, we look forward to it. Thanks again.
You've just listened to another episode of With Absolute Specificity. Stay updated on big tech with insights from industry thought leaders. What are you waiting for? Catch more episodes by visiting the website at www.specificityinc.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future releases.